Hello, welcome to By the Light of a Poem. This is a 30-day writing journey that I've designed based on my own writing practice that's been developing and evolving over the last almost 3 years. And I want to share a little bit about the intentions that I have for this workshop, how it's structured, and some ideas for you to keep in mind as you're working through this workshop. So I developed this based on classes that I've been teaching around my own writing practice, and the amazing discoveries that I've been finding through this process and others in my workshops have been finding. And so what I have noticed is that when given, for me and for others, when given this charged container that's warm and encouraging and non-judgmental and safe, and when there's that kind of container, and then there's a series of prompts offered alongside a beautiful poem, and then a set amount of time to write, what moves through us, me, others, is incredible and completely unplanned, and often very deep and rich and soulful. And it just continues to amaze me what wants to come out of the body when given the opportunity and the right conditions. So I have found that writing in this way has been profoundly healing for me in so many ways. And it has helped. What it feels like to me is that it's finding things that are in my body, these knots, emotional knots, or it's finding like a deep well of something from a past experience that I had forgotten about, and helps me reconnect there, or helps me move that one of those, like massage out one of those knots that is causing some stagnant energy or suffering or sadness or grief. Writing in this way seems to, in some mysterious, magical way, help move things through my body and helps me find deeper meaning and a deeper sense of joy and wonder and connection and intimacy with myself and with others and with the world. It's really amazing, and it's very, very simple, which I also love about it. So the way that the workshop is structured, it's designed for you to go through over 30 days. So there's one poem each day that you can listen to. And so there's an audio file where I read the poem, and then I read the prompts that I've picked out from the poem. And then you can listen, just choose the first prompt that you don't have to know why it speaks to you. Just choose whichever one is kind of calling to you. Maybe there'll be one that's like, oh yeah, I want to write with that one. Maybe it'll be more subtle than that sometimes. Whatever it is, just choose one. And then I want you to set a timer for 20 minutes and then just write. Don't think about what you're writing, just write. And this is really about opening up our sensitivity and our feeling sense. So if, let's say, a memory or like a little glimpse of a memory starts to pop up when you hear a certain prompt or when you hear a poem, give yourself permission, if you want to write into that, to start to write what you see in your mind of that memory. And if it starts to just fill in all the details, whatever it is, this isn't about trying to write it in a certain format or structure. This is just stream of consciousness, writing word after word after word, and letting each word build. It's like stepping stones, like we're letting the whatever it is that wants to emerge one step at a time. So what I find is sometimes I'll start writing into, let's say, a memory, and then something inside that memory, as I'm in there in my imagination and I'm writing words, something else catches my attention. Maybe it's like something that I notice in the memory, or it's a feeling that comes up. So what I like to do and encourage you to do is just give yourself permission to take detours. This isn't about staying on a linear path. If you start with a certain memory and you end up somewhere totally different, great. That's great. Give yourself that freedom to wander. Because what I find is that often whatever's catching my attention in those moments is something that wants attention from me. So it wants to move, it wants to come up and maybe reveal something to me. So if I can allow that to happen without needing to know why, what it means, what the point of it is, to just let it come up out of my body through the pen on the paper, I'm amazed. And what happens, because usually the feeling for me often is in the moment, I don't know why I'm writing this, I don't know why this is coming up. And then the 20 minutes ends, and then I read what I've written. And I like to read it out loud to myself because I find that giving the words that energy of my voice expands their power, their meaning. I can feel them more. So you're welcome to do that if you want. But once I read them, I often discover that, oh my gosh, I had no idea this was needed to come out of me, or oh, that I could feel it. I often get goosebumps or I cry. And those physical cues like goosebumps or crying, I take those as really good signs because that's my body telling me this is important, this matters. And I may not have the words for it to describe why, but that's my body giving me messages that this matters in a deeper way. So that may happen for you. It may not. It's totally fine. Whatever happens. Sometimes I discover that I'll write in this way, and then maybe a month or two, I'll be flipping through my journal. A month or two later, I'll flip through my journal and reread something that I wrote. And then something wakes up in me or speaks to me. Or so it can happen in all kinds of ways. And so that is all to say, like, let whatever happens happen. And as you work through the days, you can stick to the 30-day structure. So just doing one poem a day, pick a prompt, write for 20 minutes. On that single day, let's say it's day 1, and you do that. If you have time, you can go back after the first 20 minutes is done and pick a second prompt from that list and just do it again. Turn on your timer for 20 minutes and write again and see what emerges. And do it. You can work through all the prompts that way for a single day if you want to, or just do one for 20 minutes. It's totally flexible and adaptable to what you want to do. The other thing that I want to say is you have full permission to play with the structure of the workshop. So let's say, I've designed it for 30 days to really give that spaciousness and that sense of a journey and taking your time with that. But you can also do this workshop, let's say over a weekend, and create a little mini writer's retreat for yourself and do a bunch of them in a row, however you want to. You can do something like that, or you might find on one day that maybe you have more time open than you normally do. So maybe on that day you do 5 poems. Really just, it's really very loose and very open to your interpretation if you want to play with it. But I also really wanted to create specific structure and guidance for you to work through so you don't have to come up with your own structure if you don't want to. So do with that what you will. And in another video, I'm going to talk a little bit about preparing to write, because there's some things that I have noticed make a big difference for me as I'm writing or preparing to write. So I'll share some of those things. And you will also notice under each day there's an audio file under each day where I read the poem and the prompts. But then underneath that, there is the text of the poem and the prompts. So you can see it written while I read it. But then you'll also see under the resources section that there is a PDF. It's about 60 pages of all the poems and all the prompts. So you can print that off if you want to have copies of everything to work with as well. So let me think. I think that's everything for the introduction. I really hope you enjoyed this journey of writing. And if you ever want to share anything that's emerged for you, you can always comment within the class portal, or you can email me anytime. I would love to hear about your experiences and what you're noticing and what you're discovering. So thank you so much, and I really hope you enjoy this writing workshop.